So again, there was students here in the encampment, and they were given the dispersal order last night. They were told that this was an unlawful gathering, that if they did not leave, they would face arrest, and that students could even face suspension or expulsion. Students that we talked to this morning said that they were here on principle. They believe they have the right to gather here on campus and that they were not going to leave. But then in the early morning hours, law enforcement did start to come through the encampment. They started to clear away all of these tents, all of these chairs and tables that you see here. And then law enforcement did start to take one by one the students out. Some of them students, some of them may have been supporters. It was kind of hard to tell exactly the crowd that was in here. They seemed prepared for that action. They were linked with arms. They had masks and they had goggles kind of to protect themselves in case anything happened. We talked to CHP earlier this morning, and they tell us that in the beginning there was some resistance and things were thrown, a fire extinguisher, but they didn't see anybody injured. They say none of their officers were injured. Eventually, they were able to get everyone out of the encampment area. They say there are a few stragglers that they're still dealing with, but for the most part, they feel like they were able to do what they were brought in to do. Again, CHP brought in by UCLA police kind of as a backup. There's also LAPD here. There's the sheriff's department. And again, as we look over here at Jan's steps, we kind of see that they are keeping an eye on the protesters that have gathered outside of the encampment, making sure that nothing has happened there. They tell us they have given those protesters a dispersal order and told them to leave, but right now they're just kind of standing and watching.
You know, Tina, before we let you go, I find it somewhat fascinating for myself because we haven't been able to see inside the encampment. You know, from all the reporting that you've been doing over the last week or so, you know, is there any takeaways for you now being able to be inside? We know Professor Tolan was saying there are organization to this in the encampment and things like that. Can you just give us, from your perspective, from being on the outside to now inside?
Yeah, Jamie, I mean, I think the thing that I notice a lot is just the organization. I mean, just right in the area where we are, which is by the one end where there's a fountain, you can kind of see on the ground all of the bottles of water, the paper towels, the coolers. These students, I can't say that they were all students, but they seemed like they were organized. They had kind of prepared to be here. It looked like they were preparing to be here for the long haul, that they were going to be here for several more days or weeks. They had kind of a community almost built in this area. And so even though they knew that they could be pushed out, they still were planning to stay. And that's why we see kind of all of the remnants of what had been kind of a community.
Yeah, the coolers, the food, it's very interesting. Tina, thank you so much. We appreciate your reporting. We now want to head to Rick Montanez.